Hello everyone, this is Dr. Purnima, Assistant Professor, Department of English, Vasant Kanya Mahavidyalaya. I admitted to the privileges of Banaras Hindu University. And we have reached the week 4, module 4 of Postmodern Art and Literature, Theory and Practice. And we are discussing the futuristic trends in postmodernism. And in this second lecture, we are going to discuss postmodern film and media studies. So, when we talk about key traits of postmodern films, the things that we are going to discuss are very similar to things that we have already discussed in art and literature. So, when we see the films of postmodern times, we will find that they also have a non linear narrative. So, events are often shown out of order to reflect characters' inner lives and fragmented experiences. For example, it is when you see the rise of pulp fiction. There is a movie also that is known with the name Pulp Fiction 1994. So it uses this non-linear narrative. And later also when we see the rise of pulp fiction or the fiction for masses, there also we'll find this fragmented narratives. Then there are these metafictional elements. So films reflect on their construction. So what happens that how a film is being made, that is told within the film. So that is how it is they are reflecting on their own construction. Then they're blurring the line between story and commentary. So these are the innovations that were being done in movies and films. Then there is a lot of genre mixing also. So postmodern films freely combine genres and they create fresh and unexpected blends by mixing various genres. Like they can borrow from anime, they can borrow from comic strips, and they can blend it into a movie like the Chipmunks. So the Chipmunks are actually animations. They are put with a real character. So and then their irony and satire. So, a playful or mocking tone is used to critique culture, politics, or storytelling itself. Then there is a blurring of fiction and reality. So, characters or settings may shift between real and imagining, and that would question what's authentic. So, that authenticity is questioned in all the earlier examples that we are given like in Kurt Vonnegut or in Salman Rushdie or in Handmaid's Tale. So all the postmodern author they follow this blurring of real and imagined. So when we talk about reworking traditional genres, we talk about subversion of expectations. So when we see in earlier fiction, somehow the what would happen, the audience could guess that. So in a tragedy, the audience would know that maybe the end is impending. So we already know that what would be the end of result of this work of art. So what actually postmodernism does, it plays with the end. So it gives a very different kind of ending. So it is a subversion of expectations, like turning off the screw. So the plots are either left open ended for the audience to interpret, or some very different ending is given to the plot. So familiar genres are reinterpreted in new ways, challenging conventional rules. Then again, there is use of parody and pastiche, because without it, neither we can have postmodern art, nor literature, nor film. So there is a lot of imitation that is being done through parody and pastiche, and it works with exaggeration, and homage becomes a very creative tool. For example, again, Kill Bill also uses the same elements of anime, and they are mixing it and they are exaggerating it. And then how it is comic also at times, humorous also, and it merges various genres together. So that kind of parody and pastiche is also seen. Then there is a self-referential humor. So characters or scripts make jokes about the cliches they embody. So they are referring to themselves, they are creating humor on themselves. So that stand-up comedy that we are talking about also rises as a genre, because scripts are jokes on themselves. Then there is this collapsing of high and low culture. We see it in art, we see in literature, and again it is reflected in the films. So artistic and popular references are treated equally, often mixed without hierarchy. And then we see that there is a deconstructive approach. So genres are broken down to reveal hidden assumptions or limitations. So this how a story, how a narrative is being told. Like if we see a narrative like Kantara or Bulbul, or we can see the narratives of X-Men or any Hollywood movies that are sci-fi in science fiction, we can see that how they are mixing and they are breaking down how the narrative is being told. So the assumptions are broken through narrations. Then we have this visual and stylistic innovation. So when we see that this innovation that is there in art, it is there in literature, and this innovation has how it has mixed into movies also. So example is use of bright stylized aesthetics. This we can also see in art. A lot of bright colors, neon lights are being used. Similarly, it is done in movies also. So we see unrealistic settings, symbolic visual designs, and they're highly artificial. So example, Barbie 2023 or Star Wars or any intergalactic movies. What they are doing, they are using very bright spaces, Disney movies. So they have this artificial design, symbolic designs, and they use a lot of technology for presenting the artwork or the movie that they are creating. So the fragmented editing techniques, now when we are talking about fragmentation, when it has entered painting, art, literature, so that has also entered into films. So how we are incorporating these designs into films. So we are using quick cuts, we are using flashbacks, repeated scenes, and how the cameras are used. They are all used to create a sense of narrative disorientation. Then there is a lot of intertextual imagery. So visuals that they are using, they may borrow from other films, like, or you can also copy other films, like many modern movies or postmodern movies. What they are doing, they are using songs from, and they are also mixing the song mixing is done, and a lot of, again, this is how it is blurring high and low culture also, and this is also creating a new song, and they are changing the music of the song, or they may change, or they may copy the actors and actresses, may the copies the copy the images of earlier actors and actresses, or they may use black and white in modern cinema or postmodern cinema. So what is this actually they are doing? They're actually borrowing from other films, art or media forms, and they are giving a layered meaning to the text or the film that they are producing. Then they also have an abstract or surreal setting. So you may feel that the locations are dreamlike, dream sequences are also played, hallucinations are used in movies, and they are also used for symbolic effect, like we were discussing about a man who is hallucinating, and he doesn't know in his psychological state that what he is actually doing. So the boundary between truth and dream and hallucinations are broken. So locations may also feel dreamlike, they may also be symbolic, or they may also be disconnected from real geography. So imaginary places or intergalactic spaces, or a wasteland or dystopic space, or a utopian space like solar punk fiction, those are created in movies also, they are created. And then there is a frequent use of CGI or mixed media. So there is a blending of live action with animation or graphics, and that also reflects on media saturation, because we have VFX is used, a lot of mixed medium is used, because what new we have to show? Like already what is being told has already been told, all the art has been represented, everything is, all the content is readily available at a single click. So we have to blend all these new things and animation techniques to form something new. So what the themes of identity and self also, because this is very important, the self that is breaking, the self that is fragmenting, has been very common in art and literature. So it also becomes very pertinent in films. So we also see that there is a fragmented selfhood in movies. So we see that characters often question who they are, and they are also questioning their own judgment at times, that where they are, who they are, or they wake up from a situation of trance like Resident Evil or Matrix. So what they are actually doing, they are shifting roles, so they are no longer the same person. So the identity is also constructed, and the constructed identity is reflected through gender, race, or personality, and they are also shown as changeable at times. So what are they actually leading to? They are leading to the blurring of boundaries. So, and then this is also the rise of post-humanism. So there is a rise of human and machine interactions, with rise of artificial intelligence and robotics. And there is also a speculative fiction that is coming, because new technologies are developing every day. So speculative fiction that is telling that where technology can lead us, what can happen in future times. So futuristic fiction and futuristic films, they merge with each other, and they are creating a kind of blurring boundaries between human and machine. So they are talking about man and women distinction is also collapsing, gender distinction is also collapsing, and human and machine distinction is also collapsing. So example we can see here 2030. Then there is also this concept of alienation and crisis that is also represented in postmodern media. So postmodern figures often feel lost in the chaotic world. So in art also, when we are showing a lot of different frames, or when we are showing bricolage, or when we are showing fragmentation, what actually we are showing is alienation and crisis. Similar, the fragmented narrative of literature also shows the chaotic world around us. Same is the condition of the movies. So movies are also showing the alienation and crisis. The world we are living in is on a verge of collapse. So we have a lot of dystopic fiction written, and so we have a lot of dystopic films being written. So dystopic films are talking about catastrophic situations that may be man-made, that may be alien invasion, or there may be some kind of ecological crisis. So all these kinds of crisis is being talked about. So this alienation and crisis of postmodern man is figured in his chaotic world. Then there is also multiplicity. Multiplicity is again a common recurring theme of postmodernism. So we will find that a single character may have many versions of self. So this like multiple personality disorder. So multiple personality disorder is also something that comes up in movies, and it is discussed in movies because the whole idea of self is breaking in postmodern times. Then we talk with about relationship with media and technology. So media controls reality. How we see reality is how reality is shown to us. So television and digital content shape people's lives. So we believe, and there are so many rise of the shows like the Big Brother, Big Boss, the Truman Show that came in 1998. So they are actually showing the lives of real people, and people want such content where real people are involved in real life dramas. So somehow they are controlling the kind of reality that we are witnessing. And then fake becomes truth. So this is also the time of post truth we have discussed in the first module. So fake and fiction and facts and fictions, they are merged so well that sometimes it is very difficult to comprehend what is fact and what is fiction, because a random image can be taken and it can be morphed, images can be morphed, speeches can be taken out of context, they can be played with. So with so many virtual assistants and so many virtual realities being created, somehow we are losing the sense of truth and losing the sense of reality. So the fiction and real life blend is in public perception is also changing. So content is also a lot many time what happens to the content, that it is being morphed with, it is being played with, and it lacks credibility and authenticity, and it may be serving somebody's personal interest. So that is also there. Then there is a lot of simulation and hyper reality, because with the rise of media and technology, we have these video games and we have these hyper real games. So what is happening is that what is shown on screen becomes more real than reality, and we tend to live in the virtual world. So we lose the sense of the real world, and we are more interested and invested in the technology or technological space around us, that we tend to lack any feeling of the real world around us. Then there are also the themes of consumer culture. So there are branding and there are products, and everything is, we know a value of a thing by the price tag it has. So consumer culture will be there as a theme of these movies. And then there is branding, and the products, they take center stage. Sometimes the advertisement is also done through film media, because many brand sponsors are there. So in within the movies we can see the advertisement of certain brands, certain logos are shown, the actors or the protagonists are using certain devices, and that's how it's not direct advertisement, but indirect advertisement is embedded within the films that are being produced. So this branding and products, they take a center stage in the lives of the character. So which phone they are using, which company they are using, which soft drink they are using, all this become very center stage in the narrative itself. Then it becomes a surveillance society. So films show growing concern about being constantly watched. This is the whole idea of panopticon, that you are in a jail and you are being watched, you are under surveillance the whole time. That's why I gave the example of the TV series Big Brother or Big Boss, where people are kept under surveillance, and how people may behave when they are being watched or when they are denied certain things. So this, and now we, with the rise of CCTV, when we are in constant surveillance, how are people behaving? Because when you are being watched, your behavior will automatically change from what you would actually behave when we are not being watched. So it also discusses, these movies, they are also talking about representation and inclusion. So they are also talking about highlighting the marginal voices. So postmodern media, what do, they often center their stories from underrepresented communities. So we will see that there is a rise of African American fiction, a rise of African American movies also. Then they are also questioning norms. So the movies also are talking about, they are written like movies like Mrs. They come up in India. So what they are doing actually, they are questioning the norms of the society that we are living in. So the norms may be cultural, they may be social, and there may be gender norms, and they are examined and challenged by the characters, like movies like Pink. They are doing this, they are questioning the norms of the society. And then we are talking about hybrid identities. So there are multiple cultural influences that are coexisting within characters and within narrative. So most of the movies also, they have a diasporic setting, or Indian movies, you will see that it is set in America, or Sweden, or some foreign land. So what is it actually doing? It is actually creating a diasporic or a hybrid identity. And now it has gone further when we have alien invasion, or when we have cyborgs. So cyborgs are also a kind of hybrid identity of man and machine. So, and then we see that there is a critique of patriarchy and power. So when we see the patriarchy and power, we see that there is a lot of gender dynamics that is going on. So there is an institutional control, and this is also becoming a key concern of modern or postmodern cinema. So we will see that there is a lot of patriarchy around us. So a dominance is there. So these power structures are being questioned, and institutional control is also being questioned in the new kind of cinema that is coming up. Then we also see that there is a lot of resistance that is there, and how we resist is, sometimes the resistance shouldn't be in angry words. So the ironical, parodical, the parody form of humor and style that is there is being used to create this kind of resistance when you are questioning and critiquing with irony and satire. So there is satire, there is flamboyance, and they are used to push back against the dominant ideologies. Then we have the influence of globalization. So in influence of globalization, we see that there is a lot of cross-cultural aesthetics. So themes are being borrowed, symbols, other cultural symbols are being borrowed. Other movies, like suddenly we see the rise of K-pop. So the K-pop pop culture, and how they mannerisms, costumes, the song type, all are being borrowed into other cinemas. So suddenly we see that because there is a lot of cross cultural effect of one culture on another, so we see that the effect of it goes into visuals, music, they are borrowed sometimes, and storytelling is also borrowed from diverse traditions and languages, because people are open to so much kinds of content, so the cross cultural references are there. Then there is multilingual media, there is a lot of language that is coming up. So in postmodern films, they often include dialogue in more than one language. Why they do that? Because the audience is also multilingual, and they kind of create a balancing between various languages, and they want to have a wider audience. So for the wider group of audience also, they kind of create this multilingual media, and that also shows the postmodern world we are living in, where nothing is singular, everything is in its plurality, everything, language is also mixing, and it is changing over time. And then there is this transnational storytelling. So stories are setting, like I talked about setting earlier, like movies are set in Indian movies can be set in America or Europe. So in that way, or European movies can be set in India or Bangladesh. So this kind of shifting is being done. So this transnational storytelling, it gives a setting span multiple locations and cultures. Then we see that there is global themes. So global themes also come up, like issues like migration, war, or climate change are addressed through personal tales. Then hybrid genres and formats are also used in movies. So we see that the global content often blends local traditions with global media influences. So basically, the society we are living is a global society, global plus local. So the blending is also global. So we will see that how Indian culture becomes very important even in the West. And how during the Mahakumbh we saw that a lot of Indian representation was being done abroad, and the same is in both ways. So Western influence is there on the third world countries, and the third world influences on the Western culture. Then when we see the relevance and future prospects, we see that how we respond to the modern world. So what is actually postmodern media and postmodern films they are doing? They are reflecting on the chaos, they are reflecting on the speed, and they are reflecting on the confusion of contemporary life. So modern life or postmodern life that we are living in is very confused. Fact, fiction, all merging into each other. So the blending is also leading to today's media landscape. So in media also we question everything, we are critiquing everything, we are not sure that what is represented by the media houses are the whole truth or not. So the whole idea or concept of truth is broken, and it often mirrors postmodern ideas about constructed realities. So realities are also a construct. How they are portrayed to us is how we perceive it. And this also led to expanded creative expression. So we see that filmmakers and artists, they enjoy more freedom to break traditional rules. So they try to give a different perspective to what is already existing, and this also encourages critical thinking. So viewers are now not passive, but they are constantly questioning what they consume. So we will see that there is also a rise of alternate cinema, or we can say that yes, there is cinema produced for consumers, but alternate cinema is also rising, because people want to see real content also. So this is also shaping future media. And how is future media going to be is a big question, because postmodern ideas, they are influencing digital art. They are also getting into artificial intelligence, AI storytelling, and there is this interactive cinema. A new form of cinema is also being born, that is interactive with the audience. So this entry of audience and AI and digital art will reshape films and media in a different way altogether, that we are going to see in the future prospects. Then role of audience becomes very important, and we see that there is an active interpretation of movies, and the viewers are expected to question and add and interpret meaning to the text. So audience participation becomes very important. It is very similar to performance art or Brechtian theater. So there is a lot of fandom, and fan narratives are there, remixes are created, then online edits are also being done. So they also become a part of media life. And they fan edits and theories, like for Black Mirror, fan theories are also coming up. So what they give additional meaning to the already created text. So this is the role of the audience in the rising in the postmodern times. And then multiple endings or views are there. So some films allow for varied endings or ambiguous conclusions, and that also leads to the audience response or reader response, or we could say the death of the author. So a lot lies on the hands of the audience, that how they see or they edit or they remix and they recreate their own version of their own favorite tales. Then there is also this intertextual awareness. So the audience, they notice and they respond to the cross references. So when you're talking about one movie and you're referring to it in another one, so the audience are also aware. So mostly popular fiction are taken up, which is common with people, so they can guess what they are actually being talked about. So, and this also breaks the passive viewing. So the audience is often directly addressed or challenged. So they are no longer the passive receptors of a play or a novel or a movie, but they become engaged to the movie. So the role of audiences on a rise there, and also with new forms of media, they are also responding on how they are writing, how they are critiquing it, they are commenting on it. So these comments and references of audience are also becoming very important in interpretation of movies and media of modern and postmodern times. Thank you. That's all.